Well, welcome to Comeback Cast. This is our inaugural session, and we are thrilled to be here. I just want to give you all an idea of where we started and who I am. My name is Brian Slowick. I'm a multiple entrepreneur, and also I'm in my 60s and wondering what's next in life as I head to that next chapter. And that was really the genesis of the concept here of our channel at Comeback Cast, was what's next. And I thought that I would gather some very close peers that could add their perspectives as well. My perspective is being delivered to you from the city of Tampa in Florida. And I'm going to hand over to Bill. You want to go next?
Sure. Thanks, Brian. My name is Bill Potagill. I am located in Northeast Ohio, so right on the shores of Lake Erie, what we call the North Shore of the United States. And I've really become curious about my own journey, which we'll be talking a little bit about. But when we get into this phase of life that we're all in or approaching, and all of a sudden, you look maybe at another 10, 15 years left, whatever that number may be of working, it's kind of like, what do you do? Where do you go? Who do you talk to? How do you manage the change that you go through, your change of thinking and opportunities now that maybe you've got a little bit more freedom. And so I've gone through my own in the last several years, going from Fortune 500 leadership to being an author of several novels. So it's been quite an interesting journey. And I'd like to equally introduce Burke Rice, who is also part of this team.
Thank you. Hello to everybody. Glad to be part of the team here. I am Burke Rice. I'm in Portland, Oregon, born and raised in Portland, Oregon. Lived here my whole life. I was very thankful to be asked to be a part of this project. I've been an entrepreneur and in financial services for the past 30 or so years. I'm in my late 50s. I was particularly interested because both Brian and Bill have either been my direct manager or have both been mentors to me. Even though our ages aren't that far apart, I've just gained a lot of value through the years I've worked with them. So when this was presented to me, I was thankful and excited. And I'm glad that all of you who follow us, and as we continue to develop this platform, which bear with us as we develop, will be a really fun ride. So thankful to be here and looking forward to a fun journey.
So we are going to kick off with, first off, something that all three of us have utilized in our work life as well as in our personal hobby life, is Hero's Journey. And Bill, you want to go over to talk about what exactly is the Hero's Journey? And then we will all, this is intended to be a very interactive channel where we're really kind of, three guys sitting around talking different ideas about how we can continue to take the what I have heard others say on other channels, as well as in articles that I read, the productive years of our final chapter. So if you divide our lives into 3 chapters, basically. So yeah. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. The hero's journey is really something that has been around for thousands of years. It's been a way of storytelling someone's adventure, someone's journey, our own personal journeys. And what scholars have really learned over the years is that most everything that we read or see on a screen has some kind of what they call character arc or a story arc, which means you kind of start off at one point, everything's fine. All of a sudden you get hit by a big challenge or a nasty person or a bad situation or whatever, and
So-
you are kind of thrown
So-
into.
Sorry, adversity is the way that I view that.
Yeah,
Some level of adversity.
Adversity. It could, I call it the monster in the writing world, but it's something that significantly challenges that person, and that person we call the hero, who is ultimately the protagonist of this story and adventure. The adversity nearly destroys or comes very close to not destroying necessarily the person, but completely altering maybe their life or their viewpoint on things. And then so the hero has two options. One is to give up and let adversity win, or the other is to like fight like hell and find a new way to survive. And then at the end of that, the hero is ultimately able to overcome the adversity and has emerged from the situation changed, stronger, better, and then we'll go on until the next adversity happens, and then that will change again, creating another metamorphosis that maybe moves you into your next phase. So it's really an interesting way of looking at life and the lives that we all have. And I think especially the three of us being, in the second, maybe entering our third chapter of our lives, we can look back at the first two and say, yeah, the bully in high school was my adversary when I was 15. And then it was my boss that was a complete, terrible person that I had to outsmart and figure and learn from and ultimately move on. So the adversity obviously continues to change and evolve as we do. And so what we thought would be a good idea is all three of us are in the process of reinvention, which is really, I'd say, something that continually happens. So we started talking about because when I actually had my adversity, it was a early retirement due to a situation of working for a company for 30 years, one individual just, I just kind of said enough. I'm just not going to fight this battle. So I'm going to leave this battle and then fight another one. So, and I think all of us have gone through that or are going through that. I think I went through it first. And so what happens is all of a sudden, as the hero of my own story, I am set with adversity and I have really nowhere to look, because my whole life, our whole lives have been leading other people, providing direction to our families, responsibility, whether that's your story or not. It was a significant change. And so when Brian and Burke and I got together, we started thinking, wouldn't it be great for people to have in our age group who are going through something similar? It doesn't even have to be job related. It can be completely, any kind of metamorphosis, any kind of reinvention you're trying to make, have somewhere to go and learn and hear from other people, because, I think learning from people that are going through it shows you two things. One is that there's camaraderie. You realize you're not alone. And you also then hear inspiring stories of what people have been able to do. In some cases, some significant changes that they've been able to make. So that's the hero's journey, and why we thought that was a good baseline for this podcast. So over the next several podcasts, we'll be talking about a variety of topics that hopefully will come in from some of our subscribers, as well as our own stories, and inviting people to even share directly on the podcast too. So that's the hero's journey. Brian, I'll turn it back to you.
So Bill, Excellent. And I also want to relate to everybody in our audience and our subscribers is that it is not strictly job related. In fact, we're going to talk about so many different things as we go forward. But the hero's journey also was relative to where my first exposure to it was really in leading sales teams. And Burke and I and Bill all are sales leaders for 30 plus years. So every single deal that you have in selling is really its mini hero's journey, because virtually every one of them, at least the ones you're most proud of, had that whole cycle that Bill was talking about. And I'm going to go over to Burke and hand it over to him. But what we are really trying to focus on here is the freedom to try to do something like this, something like Comeback Cast, that happens as we move into this next chapter. But Burke, do you have anything you'd like to share about Hero's Journey and why you're
Well,
here?
Yeah, and I was going to speak to adversity. What comes to my mind is I got divorced 13 years ago. I didn't see it coming. It was a surprise, and I won't bore you all with the story, although it's sort of funny. But going through that and a very hard transition, had a very significant impact on my relationship with my children. It does to this day. So that's been a journey that continues for me. But I've liked this channel, and one of the things I like a lot about what we're doing here is we're only going to be positive. We're not going to sit and be negative. We're not going to be political. We're not going to beat other people up. We're going to talk about how we got through whatever it might have been and what the positive things were that were the result. What we learned. I think I'm much better at relationships now than I was then because I had to go through a lot of adversity and a very difficult transition. Recently, I went through a transition at work. I wasn't surprised. In that particular example, Brian was my manager, and we both talked a lot about it. So it wasn't a big surprise like the divorce was. But it's a transition. And at this age, one of the things I really like about our concept here is you can feel very alone in our demographic at our age. I don't feel as desired in the marketplace as I used to. I have different aspirations at work now than I used to. I don't need the big titles that I used to have. I enjoy working somewhere where I like the product and I feel good about what I'm doing. And I think that's a lot of the things we'll share here on this channel and on our podcast. I have lists of guests, as I think my two partners do, and all of our subscribers will. I really look forward to seeing who else will join us and hearing their stories of overcoming adversity. We all have friends that have gone through, at least in my case, far worse things, far worse than divorce, far worse than getting fired from a job that I loved. Far worse, and they've come through it, and that will be very inspirational for me. So that was really the appeal of this. Besides,
Into
getting
the
to spend time with you two
positivity,
guys.
the positivity part, Burke, is I'm really anxious to hear what people want to try next, right? Because that to me is really what I think I'm excited about with Comeback Cast is, okay, we've many times had to move forward because we had to solve the issue to feed our families, etc. Now in this next phase, we have the opportunity to do creative things that we never thought we could do. And Bill, I know that is something that I believe you found liberating as well.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I think part of that transformation that we all go through is going from Brian, that leader, always pointing the direction, driving, supporting the family, things like that, to all of a sudden being like adrift, where you don't necessarily, it's like, congratulations, you got everything you wanted, which is like no responsibility, no, but you're lost because that's all you really are used to doing. In fact, it took me probably 6 months to even start thinking about myself. I was worried about, how my family was going to be and how we were going to continue, to be able to survive and, live our normal lives. So yeah, no. So what, as Brian and Burke both know, one of my passions really is about writing, which is part of the reason why I know the hero's journey. And so I decided I was just going to start, and I was going to start writing, and I wrote night and day in my free time. I was not used to free time, and I was, very anxious to get going. And I wrote a lot, and a lot of it, after I read it again, was like really crap. But the fact it was that I got it out and I got the idea, and I never in a million years would have figured or thought at that point, when I started putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboards, that I would actually be writing a story like I did. But again, it was all about jumping in. I didn't care. I didn't care if anybody read it. I didn't care if any publisher, bought it. I was just going to do this for me. And I was lucky, actually. I was
Well,
lucky.
may I interject for
Yeah.
a second as to, and we're gonna talk plenty about this, I'm sure, over many sessions, and it will always come back, but how many people, what should you do with the naysayers and the haters?
Well, what you should do and what I
Yeah.
did do are two very different things. But what you should do is listen to people's or criticism or ideas or whatever, but don't take it as a criticism or a judgment on what it is you're doing. It's ultimately, you are in control of what you do. And I this is one of the key things that I've had to switch in my life, was taking advice, taking perspective. I have a writing agent now who literally beats me up, every time we meet, because she's making me better. When I say she's not beating me up, she's being honest. It feels like beating up, but so these are the kinds of things that maybe even 4 or 5 years ago would have like really made me stressed and upset. Now it's just like, okay, well, whatever, I'm getting better at something. So something I haven't done. I'm also in my 60s and I'm starting over. And back to the books, I've already published 2 since I've retired, and also have been doing some other things. So it's just doing it. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't have to be perfect. It probably won't be. So just go and just do it. You don't really have anything to lose.
And so we started this, our hero's journey on Comeback Cast, 3 months ago, roughly, maybe 4. Burke, how busy have you been? Because I think that's relative too. You have all this free time. You're going to be bored.
It was nothing of the sort. And it's important to talk about how we landed on Comeback Cast, because we went through multiple iterations, initially around the hero's journey, which there are some people who really like that, we found out when we looked into trademarks. But no, at this point in life, although I thought I'd be bored, every day is filled for me. I've been helping my sister with her firm. I've been really excited about this. We've published several articles on Substack. I didn't know there was such a thing as Substack until 3 months ago when Bill told me about it. So that's been a learning curve for me, and gaining followers there, and learning a little bit how it works. So our Comeback Cast came out of adversity, certainly for Brian and myself, not unexpected necessarily, but it was something new. And we iterated a lot around Plan B, and then we iterated a lot around the hero's journey, and there were people way ahead of us. So I don't really remember how we came to Comeback Cast, other than it's our comeback story from a lot of adversity by the time you get to our age. I don't think anyone could say, gee, I'm 58 years old and I haven't had any adversity in my life, personal or
Right.
professional, because we all have.
But
And it's
what
how we
is-
come back from it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what is experience? And that's really what comeback is about, is comeback is that hero's journey and overcoming that adversity. And most people will tell you that the best lessons that you learn, no matter how small they are typically born out of failure. And the cast portion of Comeback Cast was a play on, we're a cast of 3, and on Bill's authorship was he has a cast of characters in his novels, and we're 3 cast of characters, right, that come from 3 different perspectives, 3 different parts of the country, and really can talk about what happened in our previous lives and what's going to happen in our next portion of our life, where especially as you start to head towards retirement, and who knows if we'll ever truly retire, right? What most people that I hear from say that they want to take what is considered the productive parts of their retirement life, which is the early phases, and do the things that they've never had a chance to do. For example, go work in a coffee shop. Why? I don't know. I always liked coffee, and I thought I might just enjoy hearing what everybody talks about in a coffee shop. Those types of things. And that's in Bill, isn't that part of the freedom that you get being an author?
Absolutely.
You get to create these people that do stuff.
Since we all come from sales, I'll use kind of the analogy. It's like when you don't need to feed your family because, you have to make this sale or you're all going to starve. And you have a comfort of, having had other customers, for example, that are, very happy and able to support you with your bonuses or whatever those things are. You sell better. And I think even as a writer, and I even see this with my coach that I was telling about earlier, when I try too hard and I think, I'm trying to write like a Pulitzer Prize thing or whatever, it's awful, and she calls me out on it. She's like, just be you. And so what's happened with, with salespeople or whatever, there's not that pressure to have to be the best necessarily the first time you try it, where in fact,
Well, let's admit it, you're not going to be.
And we're doing it right now.
You're
This
not
is our
going to
first
be.
time right here.
Yeah. And so, we hope, just us jumping into this, we hope that we continue to learn and get better and things like that. But that's the fun of it. And, part of taking a situation that you may be in that may be kind of scary or maybe, seen as a little bit negative, look at what you can get out of it and what you can control, and just start doing it. And so that's, again, kind of what we hope to be talking about here over the next several months about not only our journeys, but all of yours. So,
yeah, and I look forward to hearing about everybody's journeys and what they've jumped into. And Burke, you want to maybe bring us to a close? Because one of the things that I think that you have done a good job with, and maybe we expand a little bit, Bill, I'm not sure on time, but the aspect of telling people your interactions, because I think you've been most proactive with all of your network of folks out there in the Pacific Northwest, when you talk about what Comeback Cast is and what have you learned when you have that discussion?
Well, the other thing, just as an aside, the word cast has a lot of definitions. And I think besides our cast of characters, in our case, it's maybe not the old plaster cast that was your badge of courage as a kid when you had all your friends sign, but it's a cast on the things we've overcome. And I think as hopefully our subscriber base grows, we can sign their cast. And you can cast a fishing pole as well, and we could probably go down that road. But as I've shared this idea, and people, when you're in job transition, it's a natural question. Hey, what are you doing? Well, hopefully you don't say I'm sitting on my rear doing nothing, just feeling sad for myself. And I haven't been. And this started very quickly. And every time I bring up this topic, people give me ideas about articles they'd like to see. Everybody in our age range says, that's a great idea. I don't have a resource that addresses people in our age, regardless of their male or female.
Oh, absolutely.
The three of us being men, I hope we'll have a lot of female interaction with this, not only because it's valuable, but because in my own journey, it will be valuable learning for me. So I don't want the perception to be it's just three guys. That just happened how we came together, this cast. This is meant to be very widespread and inclusive. So we're looking for opinions from all. I've received from all. The firm I've been consulting with that my sister owns is a woman-owned firm. So it's a lot of female leadership in that company. They love this idea. And I've got a whole Post-it note here of ideas of either podcasts or Substack articles, because they're very engaged and they're all in our age range. I'm kind of putting it 50 to 70.
Right.
I hope it goes broader than that, but
And I can't wait, Bert, for you and I to take advantage of the payroll contacts, because we've spent so much time in payroll, and that is dominated by the female demographic. Also dominated by our age group. So I think there's going to be tremendous stories that can come from that and what those next chapters are.
great.
So
Sure. Well, we ready to wrap up, guys?
I think so. I think it was a lot of fun. I really am thankful to be here with you guys, and happy to grow and learn from everybody that we interact with on this journey. And it should be just a fun time. Our goal is to do these at least once a week. We will see what our cadence is as we go forward. Hopefully we're going to build. What is our cadence currently on Substack?
On
And
Substack,
can you tell people where to find us?
Yeah, we're if you go to Substack and search for Comeback Cast, that is us. We have a website up that'll be www.comebackcast.com, where all of our will house all of our content, including our videos, as well as our blogs and other resources for everybody. Yeah, and Brian, to your point about once a week, that kind of depends on the audience as well that we bring in, and the need and the desire to expand that to more. I think once a week right now is great. Hopefully it'll be every day, so at some point. But so go out and tell your friends and family about us if you think they'd like what we're doing. So,
and we have a newsletter that is going to come out at least once a month. And Bill, can they sign up for the newsletter too?
They can sign up on our website, and you can also subscribe to both Substack, or you can subscribe also in addition to our Comeback Cast newsletter on our website. So we will be having links where you don't have to, figure all this stuff out yourself. But again, and then of course, YouTube is going to be where primarily our video content will be displayed.
And Bert, you love Instagram. You love Instagram. Are we doing anything on Instagram?
We have an Instagram. Actually, what I love more is LinkedIn. And I was going to say, if you want to learn more about us professionally, we all have LinkedIn pages. We do have a LinkedIn page for Comeback Cast as well. And that look forward to kind of growing that with our episodes and more of our professional lives, which this will cross into.
It should be a fun time. Give us ideas, please put them in the comments down below. We wouldn't mind getting a thumbs up. That would be awesome. And we appreciate your time.
All right. All right.